Well, here we are, back at the family home again, and we have a great saying in our house when someone starts whinging, and my husband started it, and it's pretty much head on down to the dairy and buy yourself a can of Toughen up, and it's a very unsympathetic kind of thing to say, but I think sometimes in a family you just need to say it. There are times when things are going to be difficult, and there will be adversity in your life, and you need to not always give up. You need to not always weaken, look for help, and you need to stand alone sometimes. You've got support of your family, but you've got to get out there and stand alone. And so we figure our children need to be taught that they've got to face up to some things with our support, and step out there and give it a go. It's too cold in the winter to play soccer, or it's too cold to get out of bed, or I've got too much homework, I don't want to do the dishes, and all these things that mount up in the winter terms. We don't want to just, I don't know, I think if you let your children get away with too much, they don't build those skills of toughness. It's like it said in an article I was reading the other day, that it's really good to let your children squabble and fight. And I thought, why? But apparently by siblings squabbling and arguing, they're learning these amazing skills for life. And so I said to my husband the other day, let them fight, it's good for them, they're developing as people. And he wasn't very impressed, but he left the room. So with the idea of Easter having finished and what's next, it's kind of what the apostles must have been going through, that knowledge that yes, Christ had died and he'd risen again, but they weren't quite sure what was happening next, and they were quite timid. They were so blinded by fear they didn't even know Jesus when they met him, the road to Emmaus and all that sort of thing. And it got to the point where a few weeks down the track, once he's left them, they're hiding in a room, a locked room upstairs, because they think they can't cope anymore. Maybe, the Holy Spirit coming was God's way of saying, look guys, get yourselves a can of Toughen up, drink that Spirit and get out there and overcome that adversity. So I guess at home we have to work at creating strong individuals in our families. Not so strong that we can't cope with them. There still needs to be the balance. We still need to be able to live in community. The whole thing about Christianity is being able to work in community. So that means balancing strength and guts and tenacity with some compassion and consideration for others. So it's finding that balance that you work through in your family, that you hope will be really important when your children go out into the real world. And I find the same thing working in classrooms, and I said to one of my classes today, we've got to work together on this. Silent reading may be driving us crazy, but if we can all work together to read, we will all do better as you get older, they're year 9s. It's a bit of collective responsibility to create all these amazing individuals that can overcome adversity. And hopefully, if we teach faith as well, then when they feel that they're the lone person overcoming adversity, they've got faith to back them up, because God is always with you no matter what. And that's one of the key things that Jesus said, that I'm with you even to the end of time. And another thing that I learned the other night, well, I kind of knew it, but that the grace of God, and maybe that's even in the Holy Spirit, that grace is a gift from God that we've always got as well. And look at what the Holy Spirit gives us: strength and courage and joy and patience and self-control, and all those things that we need to overcome all the difficulties that are ahead of us. And life is tough out there. It's annoying, it's irritating. Who likes work, really? You know, they have those ads on TV where people say, I love my job. And sure, some days I love my job, but other days I want another job, you know? Or I don't want a job at all. I want to lie in bed and read a book. But it's having the guts to keep at things, to make your job suit you, to enjoy it, to get the best out of it. And if that can't happen, go find another one. But don't sit back and whinge about it, and don't whine about it. Have that strength and courage to make your life a really positive one, and make the life for your children positive and strong and assertive and compassionate and cooperative. And in all of that, we're creating some sort of community that hopefully will emulate what the apostles did way back. If you read Acts chapter 2, you know, where they gave people what they needed and they shared what they had and they loved one another. And maybe part of overcoming all these struggles is seeing who loves us on that journey, because they're the ones that are going to be there behind you all the way. And I think I've probably said enough.